The call. Year 2487. Earth was no longer alone. Humanity had spread across the stars. Colonies, space stations, and trade routes connected many planets. Together, they were called the United Human Colonies. They were strong, peaceful, and respected across the galaxy. But they had one rule. We do not interfere in alien affairs. That rule had kept peace for over 100 years. On the edge of the Orion Belt, an old listening post floated quietly in deep space. It was cold, empty, and mostly automated. A single technician, Officer Raina Kells, was on duty. She was drinking her third cup of coffee, watching old war documentaries, when the screen in front of her flashed red. Incoming Janelle, unknown origin. She paused. This was not normal. She tapped a few keys. The signal was weak and broken. Most of it was static. But then, through the noise, a voice came. Soft, scared, crying. Please, anyone, help us. They are killing us. All of us. Raina's eyes widened. She boosted the signal and ran it through translation. The voice belonged to a species not in their records. Alien, not human, but real. She called her superior, who called higher authorities. Within hours, the signal reached Earth Command, but the response was simple. Sector Zeta 9 is Karn territory. Do not engage. Repeat, do not engage. The Karn Empire was brutal, known for slavery, war, and destruction. Many races had fallen to them, but Earth had never fought them. There was a fragile peace treaty in place. That night, someone else heard the signal. His name was Captain Elias Trent. He was once a hero, leader of the Iron Sun Division during the Cygnus Wars. People still told stories about him. But now, he was old, quiet, and retired. He lived in a small cabin near the Martian cliffs, far from politics. When he heard the signal, something inside him broke. He remembered a time, long ago, when Earth had sent a distress call. No one came. Millions had died. He sat in silence, listening to the alien child's cry. They're burning everything. Please, anyone. He clenched his jaw. He stood up and made a call. The next day, a dark military ship left a hidden dock beneath Europa's ice. The ship was old, but powerful. Its name, Valiant Dawn. It wasn't listed in any public records. It had been retired, just like its captain. On board were 7 people, all ex-military, all elite, each one handpicked by Trent. Mira Voss, sniper, quiet but deadly. Samir Holt, hacker and AI expert. Drex, exosuit heavy weapon specialist. Kale and Rin, twin pilots known for flying through asteroid storms. Dr. Lyra Mendez, medic and xenolinguist. And Captain Trent. No uniforms, no orders, no backup. They were ghosts. As the ship left the solar system, Kale looked back at Earth. We're really doing this, huh? Trent nodded. They asked for help. That's enough for me. But Command won't know until it's too late. The crew was silent. Everyone on that ship had lost something. Family, friends, homes. During past wars, they knew what it felt like to scream for help and hear nothing back. The trip to Sector Zeta 9 took 4 days through a hidden wormhole. Along the way, Dr. Mendez worked on the signal. The speaker is a child, she said, based on voice pattern, female, young, maybe 9 or 10 in human years. I've isolated one sentence. She played the cleaned audio. Please, we didn't do anything. They just came. They're burning our sky. The room was quiet. Even Drex, the roughest among them, looked away. Mira finally spoke. This isn't a rescue. This is a warning. Trent looked at her. What do you mean? She answered coldly. If they're doing this to one planet, they'll do it to others. Maybe even us. The Karn don't stop. Trent nodded. Then we make them stop. Cliffhanger ending. As they neared the alien planet, the valiant Dawn turned off all lights. It became a shadow in space. Kale whispered, "Coming into orbit now. No signs of life." Rin added, "No signs of hope either." Captain Trent stood, staring at the burning surface below. 7 people. 1 mission. No backup, said Holt. Trent's voice was calm but sharp. "We are not here to win a war. We are here to remind the galaxy who we are." Outside, the stars watched in silence. Inside, the ship's engines hummed quietly. And down below, in the smoke and ash of a dying world, a child waited, still hoping someone would come. Humanity had heard the call, and it was sending a message. The broken planet. The ship Valiant Dawn moved quietly through the blackness of space. Its engines were silent. No lights, no signals, just shadows. Below them, the alien planet was on fire. Smoke rose into space. Cities were burning. Forests had been turned into ash. Strange towers, once tall and beautiful, now lay broken. No signs of life, only death. From the cockpit, the team looked down in silence. Kale broke the stillness. Scans show low power sources. Maybe survivors. Dr. Mendez leaned closer. No military signals. Holt answered, "No, but something's jamming deep scans." Karntech. Captain Trent stood behind them, arms crossed, eyes sharp. "We go in. Now." They landed in the ruins of what used to be a city. The wind was hot, full of ash. Buildings were cracked. Roads melted. The air smelled like burning metal. The team moved in pairs, weapons ready. Mira whispered, "No bodies." Drex nodded. "Creepy. It's like they vanished." Samir checked his scanner. "Wait. I'm picking up something." Heartbeat, faint, 50 meters. They followed the signal to a collapsed building. Inside, everything was broken. Glass, stone, twisted beams. Under a slab of metal, they heard a soft sound. A tiny voice. "Help, please." Dr. Mendez dropped to her knees. "It's the girl," she said. "It's her." Together, Drex and Kale lifted the heavy metal. Underneath, covered in dust and blood, was a small alien child. Her skin was pale blue. Her eyes glowed softly in the dark. She trembled as they approached. "Don't hurt me, please." Mendez spoke gently. "We're not here to hurt you. We came because of your call." The child looked up. "You heard me." Trent stepped forward. "Yes, and we came for you." Back on the ship, the girl rested in the medbay. Her wounds were deep, but she would survive. Mendez sat beside her. "Can you tell us your name?" The girl blinked slowly. "Luma." Trent entered the room. "Luma, what happened here?" Luma's voice shook. "They came, in the sky. Giant ships. Black. No warning. They started burning the cities. My mother said to hide. Then, everything went dark." She looked up, her small hands gripping the blanket. "Why did they do this? We never hurt anyone." No one in the room had an answer. Outside the ship, Mira and Drex were on patrol near the ruins. Mira paused. "Ever seen something like this?" Drex shook his head. "Not even in the war." Suddenly, Mira raised her hand. "Contact. Movement." They ducked. In the distance, they saw Karn soldiers. At least a dozen. Tall, armored, carrying plasma rifles. They were searching, moving slow, scanning buildings. Mira spoke into the comms. "We've got company. Karn patrol, heading toward the ship." Inside, alarms rang. Trent gave quick orders. "We go silent. Defend if needed. Do not fire unless fired upon." Holt tapped furiously on his console. "Too late. They pinged us. They know." Outside, the Karn soldiers moved fast now, weapons raised, surrounding the ship. Then, A voice came through the ship's external speaker. Cold. Robotic. You are trespassing in Karn territory. Surrender immediately. Trent walked to the console and opened the mic. This world sent a distress call. We answered it. This world is under Karn law. All signals are forbidden. You are in violation. We do not recognize Karn law. Then prepare for consequences. Inside the ship, the crew got ready. Drex powered up his mech suit. Mira loaded her sniper rifle. Holt activated ship defenses. Kale and Rin prepped the engines. Trent stood near the child's room. Luma looked up. You're going to fight them. Trent didn't lie. Yes. You're risking your lives. For me. Trent knelt beside her. A long time ago, we cried out like you did, and no one came. That pain stayed with us forever. We won't let that happen to you. She stared at him with wide, glowing eyes. You're not like them. Trent's voice was low. No, we're worse. Cliffhanger ending. Outside, the Karn warship appeared in the sky. Massive, dark, blocking the stars. Its guns charged with a low hum. On board the Valiant Dawn, the crew stood ready. Kale whispered, "They outnumber us. Outgun us. This is suicide." Trent looked out the window. Then we make it count. The comms crackled one last time. Final warning. Surrender or be destroyed. Trent pressed the button to reply. His voice was calm, almost cold. We're not here to surrender. We're here to deliver a message. You attacked the helpless. You burned their skies. Now you face us, humanity's wrath. The sky burned above the ruined planet. The Karn warship hovered like a dark god, its weapons glowing. On the ground below, the small human ship, Valiant Dawn, looked tiny, weak, easy to destroy. But inside, the crew was not afraid. Captain Elias Trent stood in front of his team. They think we're here to fight fair, he said. They're wrong. The team nodded. No fear, no doubt. They had done this before, in worse places, against worse odds. Drex powered up his mech suit, a massive metal frame wrapped around his body. His voice growled, "Let's show them what humans are made of." Outside, Karn soldiers closed in. Dozens, then hundreds. Trent gave the order. Mira, window shot. Mira Voss, calm as ever, climbed to the top of the wrecked tower near the ship. She took position. A Karn officer stepped forward to give another warning. She didn't wait. One shot. One kill. The officer fell. Panic exploded among the Karn ranks. They opened fire. That was the signal. Drex charged through the smoke, his mech suit tearing through metal and armor like paper. Samir Holt disabled Karn comms with a virus uploaded through a stolen beacon. Their battlefield was now silent. Only humans could talk to each other. Inside the ship, Luma watched the battle through the glass window. Her hands trembled. They're fighting. For us. Dr. Mendez stayed by her side. Yes. And they won't stop. At the edge of the battlefield, Kale and Rin flew the Valiant Dawn low through the smoke, dodging plasma fire. They dropped shock drones that sent powerful EMP blasts across the field, knocking out Karn walkers and tanks. The Karn warship above finally responded. It began charging its main cannon, enough to vaporize a city block. Holt shouted, "We've got less than 60 seconds before we're space dust." Trent's voice came calm. "Then let's give them something to remember." They activated Project Revenant, a classified human weapon never used before. Samir Holt uploaded the AI core into the enemy warship's targeting system, using the virus they planted earlier. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then the Karn warship's weapons turned, on itself. Flames shot from the underbelly of the massive ship as its own cannon misfired and tore a hole through its engine core. In orbit, a blinding explosion lit up the dark sky. The Karn warship was gone. Back on the ground, Karn soldiers froze in confusion. Their command was silent. Their support was gone. The humans didn't wait. Drex led the charge. Mira picked off targets with deadly aim. Kale and Rin gave cover fire from the air. One by one, the Karn lines collapsed. Within 30 minutes, the battle was over. The smoke cleared. The silence returned. But this time, it was not the silence of death. It was the silence of survival. Later, the team stood near the burned city. Luma stepped forward, holding Trent's hand. "They're gone." Trent nodded. "For now." She looked up at him. "You saved us." Trent didn't smile. His eyes were tired. "We didn't come to save. We came to answer." She tilted her head. "Answer what?" He looked at the broken buildings, the ash, the graves. A question the galaxy forgot to ask. What happens when you hurt the helpless? And humanity hears you. Back aboard the Valiant Dawn, Holt prepared the final message to Earth Command. He turned to Trent. "Want me to censor any part?" Trent shook his head. "No. Let them hear everything. The screams, the fire, the reason." The message was sent. Across human colonies, across alien worlds, the story spread. A child called for help. Humanity answered. Not with words, but with fire. Final scene. Luma sat near the viewing window, watching stars pass by. Mendez joined her. "You okay?" Luma nodded. "Will I see my people again?" Mendez looked away. "We'll try." Luma's voice was soft. "Your people are scary." Mendez smiled sadly. "Yes, we had to be." "Why?" Captain Trent's voice came from behind. "Because long ago, no one came for us." Black screen. Final words. This was not a war. This was a warning. To those who burn the weak, be ready, because one day, humanity might hear you too. The consequences of wrath. The Valiant Dawn drifted through the stars, its hull still warm from the battle. The crew had won, but there was no celebration. Only the silence of knowing that this victory wasn't just another fight. It was a turning point. Captain Elias Trent stood alone in the observation room, looking at the vastness of space. The stars stretched out before him like an endless ocean. He couldn't stop thinking about the Karn warship. It had been massive, terrifying. The firepower of the entire empire, all focused on them. But in the end, it was their weakness that had destroyed them. They had underestimated humanity. Luma was sitting nearby, her small face pressed against the glass. She didn't understand everything that had happened, but she knew one thing for sure. The humans had come for her. They had saved her people. She wasn't alone anymore. Down in the engine room, Samir Holt was working on the ship's systems, his mind still racing. "We did it," he said to himself, his voice barely above a whisper. He paused, staring at the console. But at what cost? Mira Voss was in the weapons bay, cleaning her sniper rifle. Her face was unreadable, but the tension in her shoulders told the story. She was a soldier. But this was different. The stakes had never been this high. "We didn't just stop the Karn," she thought aloud. "We gave the galaxy a warning." Back in the medbay, Dr. Lyra Mendez checked on Luma again. The child was healing, but the trauma from her people's destruction still haunted her eyes. She would never forget the pain of watching her home burn. Mendez sighed, wiping her forehead. "We can't undo what they've done." Luma looked up at her. "Will they come back for me?" Mendez shook her head slowly. "We'll protect you. All of you, as long as we can." The ship hummed with energy as it prepared to leave the system. The battle was over. But something else was coming. The real fight had just begun. The message from Earth Command came late that night, its words clear, cold, and full of authority. "Captain Trent, your actions have created a situation we cannot ignore. You've violated the treaty with the Karn Empire. The United Human Colonies have officially cut ties with you and your crew. You are no longer under our protection." The message continued, but Trent didn't need to hear more. The warning was clear. They were on their own now. Holt looked at Trent, his face pale. "We're being abandoned, aren't we?" Trent's eyes were tired, but his voice was steady. "No, we're not being abandoned. We're choosing a side. And we're not going back." Back on the bridge, Kale and Rin were flying the Valiant Dawn through the dark reaches of space. The stars seemed even colder now. The ship's destination was uncertain. They had no allies anymore, no one to turn to. Kale looked at Rin. "Do you think they'll ever forgive us?" Rin shook his head. "Does it matter? We did what we had to do." Cliffhanger ending. As the Valiant Dawn moved further into the unknown, a new signal broke through the silence. This time, it wasn't a distress call. It wasn't from a small planet or a child's voice. It was something far more ominous. A message, clear and direct, came through the comms. "We are the Karn Empire. We will find you. And when we do, you will burn just like the rest." The message ended with a chilling silence. Trent stood, staring at the screen. "We didn't just send a message. We signed a death warrant." He turned to his crew, his face set in grim determination. "We are the target now. And we don't run. We fight." The crew stood in silence, their resolve solidifying. There was no turning back. Humanity had thrown down its gauntlet. The galaxy was about to learn the true meaning of human wrath. The last stand. The crew of the Valiant Dawn stood in the war room, the weight of the message still hanging in the air. The Karn Empire had spoken, and their words were clear. They were coming, and they would not stop until humanity paid for their defiance. Captain Elias Trent stood at the head of the table, his jaw clenched. The battle they had won felt like a distant memory now. The true fight was just beginning. "We're running out of time," Trent said, his voice steady but urgent. "We don't have enough firepower to face the Karn head-on. We need a plan." Drex, the battle-hardened soldier, spoke first. "We'll never outrun them. If they're coming for us, we need to stand and fight." Mira, who had been silently cleaning her weapons, looked up. "We fight, but we need to hit them where it hurts. Disrupt their command. Take out their leaders. If we strike fast and hard, we can cripple them." "We don't have many options," said Holt, eyes locked on the screen showing the Karn warship's movements. "They're too strong. Too many." Kale, who had been quietly studying the data, finally spoke. "We can't win this battle with strength alone. We need to outthink them. We use their arrogance against them." Trent nodded slowly. "We'll need to get creative." As the crew prepared for the final confrontation, Luma stood by the window of the observation room, staring into the blackness of space. She had seen so much destruction in such a short time, and now the humans were all she had left. Her small voice trembled as she asked Dr. Mendez, "Will we be okay?" Mendez placed a hand on her shoulder, trying to offer comfort, but even she wasn't sure. "We'll do everything we can." Luma looked up at her. "They're coming for us, aren't they?" Mendez didn't answer right away. "Yes, but we'll fight." Luma's eyes glowed softly in the dim light, filled with both fear and hope. "I believe you." The plan. With the Karn fleet drawing closer, the crew knew they had only one shot. They would need to break through the heart of the Karn Empire's defenses and strike their command center, a massive station hidden in the deepest part of the galaxy. It would be a suicide mission, but it was the only way to buy time for the rest of humanity to prepare. "We strike hard. We strike fast. We don't give them time to react," Trent ordered. "We make them regret ever underestimating us." They launched from the Valiant Dawn's hangar bay, the ship's engines roaring to life. The crew knew they wouldn't return from this mission, but they had made peace with that. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for a future. The mission took them deep into Karn space, where the darkness seemed to stretch on forever. The Karn fleet had been tracking them, but they were still too far out to engage directly. They had a small window of opportunity. Kale and Rin worked together, piloting the ship through asteroid fields and debris, staying just ahead of the enemy. The ship's cloaking system kept them hidden, for now. Inside the ship, the crew prepared for the assault. They were all silent, each person knowing their role, each person prepared to give everything they had. 10 minutes to target, Holt called out. Trent moved to the front of the ship, looking over the crew. This is it. We take the fight to them, and we end this now. For humanity. The crew nodded, their expressions hard with resolve. They weren't just fighting for themselves anymore. They were fighting for every human, every planet, and every life in the galaxy that had ever been oppressed. The last battle. They arrived at the Karn station, a massive structure that seemed to pulse with energy. It was heavily guarded, surrounded by dozens of Karn ships. But they didn't hesitate. The valiant Dawn broke through the outer defenses with precise shots, taking down turrets and disabling key points. But the Karn were waiting. They sent everything they had at the ship, using their superior firepower to overwhelm the small crew. Drex and Mira led the ground assault, cutting through Karn soldiers with brutal efficiency. Their movements were calculated, swift, and deadly. Holt and Kale worked together to disable the station's central power core. Holt was calculating, moving quickly, while Kale kept the enemy at bay with his sharp shooting. But the odds were against them. They were outnumbered. The Karn were relentless, and as the station's defenses slowly collapsed, it became clear this wasn't just about winning anymore. It was about holding the line long enough to deal a crippling blow to the enemy. Cliffhanger ending. As the team made their final push to the core, a massive explosion shook the station. The power core had been hit. The entire structure began to shake violently. Trent and the others rushed toward the escape pods. The mission was a success. The Karn station was falling apart. But just as they reached the pods, a Karn commander appeared before them, his massive frame towering over the team. "You think this is the end. You think you've won." Trent's face hardened. This is just the beginning. The commander raised his weapon, but before he could fire, the valiant Dawn detonated the last of its bombs, causing the station to erupt in a cataclysmic explosion. The screen went black. A new dawn. The explosion echoed through the cold void of space. The Karn station collapsed in on itself, a massive burst of fire and debris lighting up the dark expanse. The valiant Dawn and its crew had given everything they had. They had succeeded in their mission, but at what cost? Captain Elias Trent was thrown to the floor as the ship rocked violently. The Karn commander had been taken down by the blast, but the damage was done. The valiant Dawn was crippled. Trent quickly pushed himself up, shouting orders to his crew. "Get to the escape pods. Now." The walls of the ship groaned as the outer hull began to give way. Lights flickered and alarms blared. The ship's core was unstable, and it wouldn't survive for much longer. Mira and Drex moved swiftly, covering the hallways as the crew made their way to the pods. Luma was already in one, looking small and fragile in her seat, her eyes wide with fear. Mendez helped secure her in place before rushing to join the others. She glanced back at the damaged ship. The valiant Dawn had been their home, their strength, and now it was dying. Holt and Kale worked together, making sure the escape pods were all ready to launch. Their hands were quick, their movements precise. There was no time to waste. The Karn Empire wouldn't stop. The crew had to escape before they were caught in the final blast. The escape pods launched one by one, each racing away from the collapsing wreckage of the valiant Dawn. As they watched from their pods, the massive ship disintegrated in a fiery explosion. It was over. The valiant Dawn was no more. But they had survived. Hours later, the crew floated in space, safe for now. The escape pods had carried them far enough from the blast that they were in no immediate danger, but the feeling of loss was heavy. Captain Trent stared out of the small window, watching the debris of their ship slowly drift into the darkness. He had lost everything: his ship, his crew's home, and many of the soldiers who had stood by his side. But most of all, he had lost a part of himself. "We did it," Mira said quietly, but her words felt hollow. "We stopped them. For now," Trent replied, his voice distant. Back in the pods, Luma was curled up, clutching the small piece of fabric that had once been part of the Valiant Dawn's flag. She whispered softly to herself, "We're safe. We're free." But deep down, she knew the battle wasn't over. They had won a small victory, but the war with the Karn Empire was far from finished. The crew was exhausted, battered, and broken, but they were alive. They had fought for something greater than themselves, and now they had to rebuild. As they floated in the cold silence of space, a message came through on their comms. It was from Earth Command. The voice on the other end was calm, but the words hit hard. "Captain Trent, we are aware of your actions. The United Human Colonies have made a decision." Trent listened carefully as the voice continued. "You are officially pardoned for your actions in the Karn sector. However, your crew is now considered a rogue unit. You will be hunted. The Karn Empire will not forget what you have done. Prepare for war." The transmission ended. Trent looked at his crew. "They're coming for us." Cliffhanger ending. The crew sat in silence, knowing the fight was far from over. They had just made their biggest enemies angry, and now there would be no escape. Suddenly, a new signal appeared on their screens. It wasn't from Earth. It wasn't from the Karn Empire. It was from an unknown source. The message flashed across the screen. "We know who you are. We know what you've done. You have a choice. Join us, or face extinction." The signal cut out. Trent turned to his crew, his eyes hardening with resolve. "We don't know who they are, but we will find out. And when we do, we will make them regret this."